Alright, it is May the 15th. It's a Saturday, and I was not able to do it last week because I had visitors over, but I'm going to have right here, I've already kind of done the spreadsheets, but this is going to be like a calculation for the past 2 weeks, summarized, and I'm going to go over every single one of my trades, painfully Tim Lentil style. You know, just to see how I'm doing, and overall my average trade rating, the rating I give myself. So again, here's the date, what I rate the trade, this ticker, setup, did the setup work, did I trade it well, and just like a quick summarization or something that I need to work on or something I did well. And this is my entry, exit, position size, dollar position size, time I got in, time I got out, time I was in the trade. And then here is like where the stock is located. All of these are pretty much US. And then the sector, which I put a pump for HMBL. GGII is pretty much a pump at this point. And then the floats, a lot of these don't really have a float. This is how much I made or lost, percent gain or loss. And this is my summary on Profitly. So it's just going to go over the week. Kind of organized it, cleaned it up a little from not last week, but last week's weekly summary. And so again, summary here, 6.4. I had 14 trades 2 weeks, so basically a trade every day. How many winning trades? 9. I had a 64% winning percentage. Average dollar gain was 22 bucks. I'm trading tiny position sizes, but I don't like, even though I'm trading small position sizes, and I had 2 outliers in these past 2 weeks. One of them was pretty bad. Average dollar gain, 22 bucks. Average dollar loss, 12 bucks. There's not much difference. This is the one I don't like a lot. Average percent gain, 2%. Basically, average percent loss. I mean, there's a 0.18% difference between my gains and my losses. That's not really good. I have to do better at that. The issue is really, it's just I need to keep focusing on letting these trades run, and I am starting to work on that. Like I can show in the last recent. Hold up, somebody's ringing the doorbell. Alright, I am back, and I'm not sure where exactly I left off, but I guess to summarize here, this is my ranking, and I just have it, you know, with a bunch of Excel formulas, but anyway, my ranking, you know, did the setup work? Did I trade it well? Big yes is worth 5 points. Big no is a -1. The middle, kinda okay, is a 3. And then my, what I would call an A, which is, because it's gonna be hard to always get a big yes, you know, that you just traded it absolutely perfectly on every single setup. I think yes is pretty good. So an A is basically, to me, you know, how many trades, which were 14 times 4 points, so 56, and I got a 40 in terms of did the setup work. C minus. And right here was C plus, you know, a 44. Here's a grade, and I don't feel too bad getting a C minus because really I'm just trying to experiment and try new setups, although some of these were morning panic bounce plays that we're not really that good. I'm going to go over every single trade, but that's what I have right now. It's a C+. I like my winning percentage. Traded well. I think this is okay. I mean, that's basically what it averages out to, and okay, but I could totally do better. I just need to do better at holding the winning trades better. A lot of these I just cut the trade too early and I would have made more. I have to get better at that. And right here, I don't like this either, but it was a bit of an outlier, but it still happened. Average dollar gain, position size 690. Average dollar loss, position size, I don't like, even though it's just a little. I don't like how my average loss position size was bigger than my average gain position size. There were 2 outliers, and I'll go over those too, but you know, still want to not have that, even if it is an outlier. Average dollar gain, time in a trade was just a minute. I need to hold these longer. Average dollar loss, time in trade is 4 minutes. This one again is the outlier because which trade was it? It was this one right here. This was the outlier where I traded a much larger position size than usual, a 2200, and this is the other one, and this one went in my favor. You know, at least I did better here in that out of the outliers. The one where I traded my largest size was profitable, percent gain was okay, and then on the one that I lost, right, was a very small percent size. I held this one for 13 minutes, so that's kind of like why that one kind of brought the average larger here. It was a morning panic bounce play setup where the first bounce was a stutter step, if I recall correctly, but I'm just going to go over my trades. Overall, not too bad. I mean, a good winning percentage, but I need to improve on holding my winning trades longer, and I'm going to see them trade by trade here, and you know, just to focus on trading larger position sizes on setups that are working. So here we go. I'm going to just check back. I'm going to do something. I'll be back. I'm sorry, my scroll wheel, again, I have this Razer mouse and the scroll wheel is just terrible on these. I'll be back, and it's just going to be going over every single one of these trades pretty easily. Alright, it's time to go over the trades. I already have, I think, the first one ready, and this was kind of one of the outliers, GGII, because I traded a large position size, and that was because I did a buy when I saw what was a kind of like a reversal, but it wasn't really it. The good thing is that, I mean, for any of you who care, you can go back to the video that was uploaded the day that I traded, and I can go over the trade with even more details. But when just to go over, this one was a morning panic bounce play where it had a stutter step, so I kind of bought into the first one, and I should have immediately gotten out of it, but I decided to hold through, and that's when I started trading larger on the second bounce, which was the ultimate bounce, I believe. But you know, I just didn't trade it that well, and I kind of put okay here because my, you know, intentions were better, and I had issues getting in and out of the trade. This is when I should have considered using a market order. For whatever reason on Schwab, it might have changed by now, but if you were to put a limit order, even if it's like way, you know, below where, you know, the bid and the ask to where it should be executed, it doesn't get executed immediately, but if you throw in a market, it just immediately knocks it out. So this was a while ago. I've improved a lot since then, but this is again like a morning panic bounce play where, you know, I got stuck, and then it had another drop, and then when it did another drop on top of that, I didn't like it. It was only a tiny percent loss, but still shouldn't have traded that position size. So, you know, 5-3, and it was an entry at 9:31, my first entry, and then I completely got out when it was 9:44. So it was right here. Nice run up right here. If you look at the daily, first red day, and I got in at 9:31. This was kind of bad, you know, it was a fake out. It looked like it was going to reverse, it didn't. And then I ultimately got out at 9:44 right here. And it wasn't too bad because this was a morning panic bounce play that, you know, ultimately didn't work out, right? Had this one have worked out, had it have bounced a little nicer, it would have been much better. It did kind of gradually, you know, uptrend the rest of the day, but you know, that's clearly not the setup. The setup is to be a part of it, right, at the initial morning panic move. But you know, again, it just didn't work out right here, and I learned a lot since then. Even though, you know, it seems like it was not too long ago, to me it feels like it was a long time ago, but it was a great lesson there. And I remember the issue here was that because 3 cents is such a round number, instead of really waiting for a reversal on the level 2, I was kind of just expecting it for it to hold 3, and it didn't, and that's what got me in trouble. And that's when I learned to really focus on, you know, the level 2, and not to look at a daily chart or, you know, try to find a support level and then just, oh yeah, it's probably gonna hold there, you know. That was a great lesson learned here. Again, I got in at 31. That wasn't obviously where I bought all of my shares because I got out at 44, and you know, I had a lot more buys, but again, overall I just could have done better. at the same time, the setup didn't really do well here. It didn't do a nice bounce either, so it could have been much better. Could have been much worse, but I think I learned a lot from it. Now we're going into May the 4th, GVSI. So GVSI, let's look at May 4th. May 4th is right here, so it looks like it's having a nice uptrend, 2 red days, and boom, we have a nice green day from here. So let's go ahead and see what the setup was. Morning panic bounce play. Did the setup work? Kinda. Did I trade it well? Yes. Sell on excessive wicks. So let's go ahead and see. 931, I got in the trade at 224. So first let's get to the 4th right here. Fourth is a little further back right here. Pretty impressive, right? Because it had this nice run towards the end of the day, but what I was trading was that morning panic bounce play. So let's head back here. That is the 4th, right? Am I doing this right? Yep, the 4th. 931. So I got a buy right here. Let's zoom in even more. Again, what I wanted was that morning panic bounce play. Didn't really drop too much, but I guess I took a buy as soon as the level 2 was reversing, learning from the other day not to base it off support resistance, but the level 2 reversal. So that's when I took my first buy at 228. Right? 228? When was it? No, it was at 224. Yeah, no wonder. Right here, so I guess near the top, but it's not bad because if it's going to reverse, it's going to ultimately be at the bottom here. And then I sold, what was it, the next minute, right? Yeah, 932, sold onto that excessive wick. Just a 1.79% trade. So I took a sell, and let's find a level right here. It was at, this one was 228, so 228 again. So immediately bought, and then I guess it was just spiking way too much immediately the next candle. So I went ahead and took a sell. I think I tried selling earlier in the wick, but I didn't get executed until it was down here, which wasn't ideal. But ultimately, it didn't work out. Price action wasn't too nice. Never like it. I never like it if a morning panic bounce play immediately results in a big, looking crazy excessive candle, because that could mean that it's not having much fuel to run and it's going to downtrend. And that's what happened here. It wasn't much of a morning panic bounce play. This doesn't even look that clean if you ask me. Probably shouldn't have traded it, but I did. It would have been better if it downtrended. A few red candles, nice big red candles, not just immediately buying with one candle down. Although I did drop from 25 to 22, so at least it was likely down at least 10% on the day. But the setup doesn't look too nice here. Yeah. Setup work, not kinda. Just need to get better at that. Next trade was GGII on the 4th. So looks like this was another morning panic bounce play. I guess I sold on an excessive wick here too. Let's look at GGII for the 4th. So let's do that. Alright, GGII, the 4th, second red day, big wick here. That might actually, no, yeah, that wick was that was a misprint. It didn't actually drop that low. I don't know where the wick would end, but it definitely wasn't down here. Okay, that makes more sense, because when you see this wick, that looks like a really nice, if a really nice morning panic bounce play worked out there, but that wasn't the case here. So let's go ahead and look at the 4th. Alright, yeah, see, there's the 3rd, right? We don't have that crazy move towards 1. That was just a excessive looking wick right there. And this was the setup here. Let's just bring it a bit closer. I bought at 934 and I sold the same minute. I need to maybe just pick better setups. Anyway, 934 right here. I took a buy at, let's actually bring this closer because it had a really nice move later, but then that just looks a little too much. Yeah. And now we're back at the 5th. Did I tell you that I don't use this? I don't use this very often. Alright, here we go. Let's go back to the 4th. This is the 5th. Here's the 4th for GGII. Let's just confirm that's the case. I feel like I'm doing something off. No, that's the 4th right there. And GGII 934. So buy was here at 934 and my entry was at 263 and I sold the same minute. So 934, 263. At least I got somewhat of a good entry right here. Not the wow, now that I'm actually going over these trades, I feel like I'm doing bad. I need to do better setups than this. And then I guess at least I sold at what, 268. So I bought here 263 and I sold at 268. That's just a really degenerate setup, but that's what it was right there. Just not really a good setup. I just don't feel like that was a good setup. Held the trade for 29 seconds for almost 2% gain. $500 position. It just doesn't seem like a good setup. I think I need to rate my setups a little lower. I think I've been biased. Wow. I guess that's why you do stuff like this, you know, trading accountability, keeping spreadsheets. That seems really degenerate. That just seems like a really bad trade. Now let's go into one of the outliers. Traded a mega large position here, $2,900. It was a good setup at least. LTNC did do a bounce, and I could have actually made a lot more, but let's go over it. May 5th, LTNC. And now let's look at May 5th. I guess we'll do it from here. Yeah, had a nice run up, right? Very nice run up. Again, just a nice run up, and again the 5th is right here. So it's just on a continuous downtrend, but this thing has shown itself to do number 5 setup. So it's not that degenerate, kind of degenerate, but not as bad as those other trades, you know, just recently have gone through. Those were pretty bad. So the 5th right here, and now let's get to the 5th here. Right here is the 5th. Morning panic bounce play. Right here with LTNC. This is the 6th. I knew I was off. Right here is the 5th. At least I had, this was a nice drop. At least it seems like it, from 50 cents to 42. So not that bad. All right, could be worse, but this is like what, 16% drop. It's a lot better than the other trade. And I bought at 933, 41.7. So did I? Yes, I sold the same minute too. All right, so 933, 417. So let's bring this closer. 933, 417. Here was my buy right here at this little doji looking thing. Right here was a buy, and I sold the same. This one I guess wasn't that bad because it was like, you know, it was an excessive spike initially, but again I bought at, what was it, 14? 17, excuse me. Yeah, right here, 17, and then I sold at 434. So 434 was right here. So basically bought around here at 17, and then I sold at 434 here, the same candle. And had I have held, right, this thing eventually started holding its lows, right, started to uptrend, right, continue, and then it did get as high as 45. So had I have held through this, you know, you never know at the time, of course, it could be a stutter set, but it did get as high as 45. And I have seen a lot of these morning panic bounce plays that bounce, get a little past the VWAP, it breaks VWAP, and then more often than not it starts a downtrend from there, which is exactly what it did here. Had I have had this trade again, I probably would have held through, you know, trying to get better at holding positions longer. You know, could have had a nice potential to sell maybe at 44, a little after it broke VWAP. So Just need to keep getting better at setups like that. And I held it for 22 seconds. Accidentally traded a massive position. You know, I had an extra zero, was only going to trade a $300-ish position. It was a bit speculative because it's been doing nothing but a big downtrend right here. So again, just wanted to play it safe, but I actually traded a large position. At least the setup wasn't that bad. Could have sold better had I waited, but hey, at least that's something I've learned from, you know, since that trade, just to get better at stuff like that. 4% gain, 120 bucks. Not too bad. Could have done worse. It could have been like those other trades, and it's crazy to think that that was just 2 weeks ago, and I feel like I've gotten a lot better since. At least I hope I've gotten a lot better since. Now let's look at the 6th, May 6th for DSCR. So let's go to DSCR for May 6th. So let's get to the 6th right here. First red day, only spikes for 2 green days. Not completely ideal for a morning panic bounce play, but sometimes they do work. It's just less likely. Always better to wait for a 3rd day. You know, it's not exact science. Again, some of these work very nicely, even if it only spiked 2 days. But in this case, I remember this trade just not going extremely well. Did the setup work? I traded it twice. Nope. And did I trade well? Yes. Cut losses quickly. On one I made, you know, just under 2%, and the other one close to the 1% loss. 5 and 8 bucks. So it looks like I traded a little larger the second time. Yep. Let's go over it. The first one was at 9.33, and the other buy was at 9.36, but 9.33 was right there, and my price was 31. So 9.33. 31 on the 6th. So let's get to the 6th. Alright, yep, this is the 6th, right? No, that's the 7th. Alright, this is the 6th, right? That's the 5th. What happened to the 6th? Here's the 6th. Alright, and again 9.33. So I bought right here in this candle right here, and my price was 31 right here. Wow, really? Let's take a look and confirm. Yeah, the 6th, 9.33 was my entry at, oh, okay, that makes sense. My entry was 35. Not that big of a difference, honestly, but 9.33, and then entry was 305 right here, right? Yeah, 305. Here was my entry, and then my sell was at 31. So I bought at 30.05, sold at 31 the next minute at 9.34 right here. Probably so because at the time when I bought, didn't like the price action, wasn't looking like it was going to reverse, even though we did have this big volume candle. Just didn't do it. Again, it just wasn't a perfect setup because it didn't run for at least 3 days. I had that in mind, took a buy when the level 2 started to reverse, didn't like the price action, immediately sold the next candle. That honestly wasn't a bad trade. That was a good attempt if you were to ask me. Small position size too, because I know it's a bit speculative, but I guess here when it seemed like it did, you know, dropped even more, so potentially even more headroom, is when I traded just a slightly larger, my average give or take $500 position size, and that was a buy at 9.36, 29.9. So 9.36 right here, and that was 29.9. So that was pretty much right about here in this candle. Just a slightly better entry, you know. Volume, big volume candle passed already, so it could do a reverse and break VWAP, and then, you know, the plan would be to sell slightly above VWAP. At least that's what my mindset is now. Back then I probably wasn't thinking too much about that, other than the fact that it wasn't the best setup, and I sold at 9.38. So just 2 minutes later, small loss, 2.99, 2.95. I mean, that's That's a tiny percent difference. So 938, 295 right here, and I saw that 295 right about right here. So I guess maybe I missed the run up and then I sold because it just wasn't looking nice, or I just sold immediately and missed out just on a little bit of a movement. But I probably saw this movement and then it dropped from there and I didn't like it, and then it closed a little better. So that wasn't too bad. Again, just playing it very cautiously because it's not the best setup, but at least I traded a small position size. The second time here I did trade a little larger. Ultimately just didn't work out here, and there's nothing too wrong with that. That's why I put no for if the setup worked or not. Not really that bad. And then the next setup here, this one was a sketchy one. Hold up. 5.7 ETCG. So let's look at ETCG. Look at the price. This was an expensive stock. 5.7 ETCG. I need to get used to clicking there. ETCG, and let's look at 5.7 right here. First red day, nice run up. I mean, this thing was at $10 not too long ago. Got as high as $96, so that's pretty impressive. First red day, ETCG, 5.7. So let's look at 5.7 right here. I guess now I can switch back to 10-day. Was it right here? Nope, further back. 5.7 was right here. You know, big down red day. I mean, it closed from 55, right? It got pretty low. And my buy was at 10.03, sold at 10.05. 10.03 at 69. So let's bring this a bit closer. And then my buy was at 10.03 right here. I think somebody rang the door. I'll be back. Alright, I am back, and yeah, I really wanted to get over these trades because I feel like from here on out I got just a little better from that first few trades 2 weeks ago. So this was ETCG. As you can see now it's at $53, so pretty nice downtrend, and right here was the first red day. So ETCG was right here. My entry was 10.03 at 69. So what was this? This was an inverse, yep, inverse head and shoulders. So 10.03 was right around right here, and my buy was 69, which isn't, again, not too bad, because you have to consider the fact that if this thing would have bounced from right here, it would be like buying right here, you know. But ultimately just didn't work out because it was a little bit of a stutter. I wanted it to be more perfect, I guess, you know, right at these levels, and it just didn't, you know, do it then and there. But it did eventually drop. Still was higher than the head. Inverse head and shoulder. Shoulder, head, shoulder. Ultimately here. It wasn't here. It was off by just a little. Did a nice run from 65 to 78. And I bought at 69. Sold at 69.8 at 10.05. So probably just didn't like the price action right here at 69.05, I think, or 08. What was it? 69.08, and yeah, it just didn't, you know, work out right here. Sold at 10.05, immediately downtrended, but it held itself together. Maybe a buy at 68, perhaps. You know, nice uptrend. This one worked out very nicely. I think somebody's calling me. I'll be back, but this was a great trade attempt, and the next one, which HTZGQ, was also really good. Alright, I am back, and let's go ahead and continue on with the next setup, which was, yes, HTZ GQ, and this was the 5th of May. So again, this was what, the 7th of May right here. So first red day, real red day. Yesterday was a red day from this day, but you know, this one was a lot better. This one had a wick. I traded here in the wick, just wasn't, again, you'll see that I learned from it, but it was a pretty good, you know, trade nonetheless. Just could have traded it better. I traded okay, and yeah, did not notice that $3 risk level, just did not think about it, but it totally worked out in this case. So my buy was at 12:01, sold the next minute. So 12:01, I bought at 13, $3.14.5. So yeah, 12:01, 314.5. So let's go ahead and first get to the 7th. Right here. Right? No, this was the 7th. Yeah, of course this was the 7th. Look at that nice drop it had. And then my first buy was at 12:01. So let's just go ahead and I guess we'll do it from here. Right, just a big red day, nice significant drop, and the setup was inverse head and shoulder. So it wasn't gonna randomly dip by it here. I don't think I even saw it, right? But this was it. 12:01. Not really inverse head and shoulders now. This was more like buying, you know, this was not inverse head and shoulders. I typed it wrong. This was a number 5 second higher low. The idea was that, you know, this is the low of day, then it spikes, drops, and then it makes up a higher low from here, and then it does a follow-up spike. That was the idea. I bought at 12:01, right at the bottom, 13. Yeah, what was it? 13. Right here, my buy was 13. No, 314.5. I need to stop saying that. Yeah, so it was about right here, give or take, just somewhere up right here, 12:01. Oh my gosh. What? All right, right here, 12:01. Okay, this candle. Okay, right about right here. So let's just double check again. 14.5. So 314.5. So it was right about here. I bought right around here. Wasn't the ultimate bottom, just a minute off from the true bottom because I kind of wanted it to be a higher low. That was my bad. Should have really focused more on a reversal on level 2. Although this one did kind of show a bit of a reversal. It did do that a little, but it continued to downtrend ultimately. And I think I had more than one buy. No, it was just one. Yeah, I sold the next minute at 12:02. Bought here, sold here. And I sold at 307, which was actually the bottom. No, it wasn't. Actually has some space right here. Again, 307. So 314 to 307. Had I have paid attention, you know, really have thought about it, you know, in terms of support resistance levels, this was a very nice. There was, you know, $3 is just that nice number right here. And it was very significant. Had I have known that, I probably would have considered a buy here in this down range right here, and then, you know, maybe sold into the spike right here. Pretty far from VWAP, so it would have been kind of hard, kind of risky to try holding for a VWAP, you know, breakout like the other morning panic bounce plays. This one was a bit different. It was also somewhat midday, so again, just a very nice setup that I didn't trade perfectly, but now looking back, I would have considered that $3 level. I learned a bit from there. Overall, a good setup in terms of the setup itself, how I traded it. Definitely room for improvement, although I feel like I've learned a lot. It was also holding its lows right here very nicely. Did a nice uptrend. The volume faded, which means no more panic selling. It got as high as 360, so that was a 20% move. Next time I see a setup like this, hopefully I'm more prepared. This would have been inverse head and shoulders. Shoulder, head, shoulder. And I remember, I think that I missed this one just by being too scared. I could be wrong. Again, if you look back to my you know, video on May the 7th, I'll go over it in detail. But this was the inverse head and shoulder. Shoulder, head, shoulder, and uptrending inverse head and shoulder, so there's better possibility. This one didn't break VWAP, but it did get from 340-ish, right? And it got as high as 365, so not that much range, but still a nice setup because it's very clean. First red day. Just learned a lot from that, if you ask me. Just a tiny $7 loss. I did trade a small position, just 100 shares, but you know, overall, now that was a great trade. A lot of experience from there. I learned a bit from that. So let's go to the next day, May 10th. This is HMBL. This is when I started the trade HMBL again. And let's look at, you know, May 10th, HBML. What? HMBL. Did I type it wrong? No. Not there. HMBL. The 10th. So let's look at the 10th. We'll do it from there. Right here, just a red day. Seems like I think this is when it kind of broke that an important level, that 130-ish level. Not the best, you know, long-term chart, daily chart, but I started to see that it can kind of do morning panic bounce plays. So let's also look at, you know, the 10th also here. This was the 10th right here. Morning panic bounce play, just kind of broke that important support level at 130. If I were to go back, here is the 10th right here. And if we were to look back, I think it was an important level. I guess I could look back right here at the trading notes, but let's just go ahead and take a look. I did do a buy at 932, and I saw the next minute. So let's go ahead and find that out. Right about here, 932. So my entry doesn't seem that nice. I actually bought on the red candle, and I sold at 933. It was a small profit. HMBL, and my entry was 1265. So let's look at 932, 1265. Right here. Something is off. I'll be back. Well, why does it say 1265? Did I put the wrong date? I think I put the wrong date. Let me check. Alright, yeah, I just had it on the wrong date. This is actually the day right here. Let me this is 5/10. I had it on the 11th. That was my issue there. Okay, yeah. So 932, 1265. So I bought right about here, 1265, 932. First green candle. This was a bit better in terms of a morning panic. At least more than one red candle, and it's a nice big red candle too. It had two. Just a little degenerate here, but it's not as bad as those first two trades I went over 2 weeks ago. Those were pretty bad. I mean, DSCR I understand, but the other ones, those were pretty bad. So again, 932 and 1265. So it was a bit, give or take, right here. A pretty good entry if you ask me. You know, at 932 near the very bottom, and then I sold the next minute, I believe. Yep, at 1285. I need to do better with that. 932, 1285 right here. So bought right here at 932, and I sold right. Jeez, I keep getting confused. Yeah, I sold at 933. So I sold here at 28, and I sold here, and I bought right here. Had I have held, this was the thing that I'm talking about, where with some of these little morning panic bounce plays, you have that drop, it breaks VWAP, and then just sell slightly above VWAP, you know, the VWAP breakouts. It got to 935, and you know, 126 to 135. Am I mixing up my numbers? I hope not. Just need to work better on, this is one definitely where I could have held longer and I would have been much more profitable. I need to stop being so chicken when it comes to that. Broker issues, cut the trade quickly. I'm curious to see what the broker issues were. Didn't know if Schwab filled my order or not. Yeah, I did find a faster way to resolve that, so I don't think that'll be an issue anymore, but probably should have still have held longer, or you know, just not have freaked out really. Just great lessons learning there. Just a lot better. And there we go. Second one, HMBL. This one was on the 11th. Okay, so there were two HMBL trades. Now let's look at HMBL on the 11th, which was, I guess we'll have to just inch one more. The 11th right here, just down. This one, I remember this one broke that $1 level, so that kind of made it a little more significant because it could have caused a lot of panic selling. And let's go ahead and get to the 11th here. The 11th was right here. And now let's go ahead and do it like that. Probably some more. This was the 11th, right? Yep, I got everything in place. This was the 11th, and I bought at 9 33, sold the next minute. Unfortunately, or maybe fortunately, we'll see. 933, 97.01. 933, 97.01. So that was a pretty good entry right about here. As soon as it turned to 97. So my entry was right here on the wick. This one was a pretty nice entry. And then I sold the next minute like a good boy at 934. The next candle, and I sold at 99. 934 right here, and I sold at 99. Got to 114. This one kind of broke that VWAP. You know, maybe considering the sell slightly above VWAP at 103, that would have been better. Here it kind of dipped a little, but it held its levels right here at $1. So this was a bit of a confirmed breakout where it broke past it, dropped, and then held that $1, and then it broke past this 103 level, and that made a nice run to 115. I can get better at these. I've really, after seeing how I'm not holding trades long enough on some of these morning panic bounce plays, you know, it's just leading me to get a lot better at it, especially, you know, now going over these trades. And if you're, you know, you who are watching, I hope this can help you with your trading and your studying and your charting to see how you're doing. But I just need to get better at holding these. This was a very nice one. I need to not be so chicken, especially considering the fact that I wasn't even trading a large position size. So just need to keep getting better at that. Although at least I'm selling them profitably. It's not like, you know, I'm selling them at a loss because I just get full of emotions. At least not in that sense. But still, I need to get a much better. Same day, GGII. This was an inverse head and shoulder. So GGII for the 11th. So let's go ahead and look at the 11th right here. Okay, so it looks like this is when they were starting to get exponential. It kind of broke out of that range right there. Again, the 11th was right here. Just a very exponential candle. The third one broke out of that range here at 37-ish. Just a very nice move this day. And that was an inverse head and shoulder. So let's go ahead and look at the 11th for here, which is back here. This was the 11th. Alright, inverse head and shoulders, GGII. Buy was at 344, so that was in the afternoon, and I sold in the same candle. So GGII, and I say right here premature and afternoon panic. So inverse head and shoulders ideally before 12. This one was in the afternoon, the drop. So I wasn't trading like the random initial drop, but looking for an inverse head and shoulders. Wasn't too ideal because it was in the afternoon, and then I was says I was premature. So let's look at 344. So I guess we'll looks like I had a nice spike in the morning. I remember this. I think Tim traded the dip here pretty nicely. So 344. Jeez Louise, 344 was right back around here. So it seems like it was back here. So let's go ahead and just minimize that. Let's actually not make it too much like that. It looks like I'm gonna have to start all over. Yeah. Let's go. Let's go back to the 11th. And the 11th was right here. Let's just do it like that. Alright, it's not that bad. So again, when was the entry? 344, bought and sold the same candle. So right here, bought and sold the same candle, 344. If I could like squeeze it together a bit closer, I would probably do that. But it was basically an inverse head and shoulders, shoulder, head, and then shoulder. Didn't spike that much. Again, just wasn't completely perfect in terms of the setup, but it did get from this, I guess you can say, give or take, this 12 level as high as 12.5. So just not really the best setup here because it was in the afternoon, but that was a good attempt. I bought and sold the same candle because I'm a chicken. But again, I need to keep getting better at holding positions. At least I traded a small size knowing that it wasn't the perfect position, but probably could have just held that a little longer and done a little better. I had a very tight stop at mental stop at 12, so then when it kind of broke under it, I sold immediately. Just need to get better at holding better. And then GGII, I traded it the next day, the 12th, and this was a number 5 setup. So let's go ahead and look at May the 12th. So again, that was right here, the first real big red day. So again, yesterday from this day was that big wiki thing that I traded here. This is very common. A nice afternoon panic signals more than likely a red day the next day. If anything, a big morning panic, which it had right here. Although I guess it kind of opened at like a gap up, but still had a nice drop. So let's go ahead and take a look at that for the 12th. The 12th was right here. This was a nice morning panic. And my buy was at, I actually held longer here. I remember this because, at this point of the week, I was starting to realize that, hey, I'm doing really bad not holding these long enough. The winners, not holding them long enough. And this one I held too long, but, it's better that I'm working on it here. I started already doing that on the 12th, 3 days ago. I bought at 10 o'clock. Let's go ahead and look at that. 10 o'clock, and the buy was 104. So 10 o'clock, 104. 10 o'clock was right here, and then 104. So basically right here, not a bad entry. Let's see how specific. It was 146. So it was 146. This was 10 o'clock. Right here, that was a pretty nice entry right here at the very bottom of that wick. Again, it was showing signs of a reversal, and I did do a buy in terms of that. Nice reversal pattern in the level 2, so I went ahead and bought. That was a good entry. Unfortunately, I just held too long here because I kept wanting to see it continue on an uptrend, because I'm always a chicken with these. But in this sense, I probably should have sold because I was getting to like a nice 5% give or take profit, and the price action wasn't looking too good. At that point, if the price action isn't looking too good, and it is the first like big drop in the pattern, the first big drop in a lot of these multi-day runners tend to have starter steps. I've kind of picked that up, and I should have sold in this case, but it's alright. I learned a lot from that, and I held longer. I sold at 10:05, almost 10:06. So right here, I put the order at 10:05. I think I got executed the next minutes at 10:06. This is when I placed the sell order, and I sold at 10:01. So let's look right here. 10:01 was right here. Yeah, so right here, I placed my order on the near the end of this candle, and once it kind of broke this level right here at I think, what was it? Yeah, once it kind of looked like it was breaking that level right here is when I put my sell order, and I got executed. There was a bit slippage here, but that's totally fine. I got executed eventually. Could have been a much worse. And my position size was a regular $400 position size, and the setup, it did kind of work. That's about right, and I did trade okay because I'm wanting to hold better. That's true. Could have sold again. It was about a 5% profit had I sold when I really wanted to. When it touched 11, definitely wanted to sell there, but I just wanted to hold longer. And then we had that big red candle, and then just crazy bad price action. In the future, I would have considered, if I saw the same exact pattern, to sell back here, just because, again, first red days or first big drops, on the stock up a lot of them tend to have starter steps, and this was definitely a starter step. It wasn't the ultimate bottom. So overall, that was a pretty good trade, and I think I've learned a lot from it. Next setup was the same day, and it was an inverse head and shoulders. Again, if the stock is just dropping, especially the first red day, I'm not gonna, I'm gonna try the first one and it could reverse. But if it's not that, sometimes it is the second one that it ultimately does it, but you never know. It could just keep doing it. So that's when I wait for an inverse head and shoulders, shoulder, head, shoulder, And let's see when my buy was. I need to not click that. Why do I even click there? That doesn't even help. Okay. My buy was at 1025 and 979. So is that right? Yep, 1025, 979. So let's look at 1025. Right about here, 1025, 979. So right about here, 979, give or take, at the top of this first green candle. Really not bad. Again, when it ultimately bounces, that's like buying again, like right here. It doesn't. It's pretty good. It's not, you know, it's not that bad. It's actually pretty good. 979 was a buy right here, 1025, and I sold at 1027 at 103. So 1027 was right here, 103. Right here, 103. That was actually a pretty nice sell right here at 1027. Bought at 25. This one wasn't bad at all, because this thing, which I had a fear for, and it did it. You know, it definitely was a higher, not a higher, but a lower high from here. This is the higher high, right? Lower high. And my fear was that it would make a lower high right here if it doesn't immediately show that it's going to do some kind of an uptrend and break past this level, and it might just drop from here. And it did exactly that. So this was a pretty good trade, and that I actually held long enough. I wasn't too chicken. But then when I saw that price action and that it could be a potential lower high, because it wasn't uptrending past this level right here, but instead it only got to this level, that's when I sold. That was a very good sell. Really happy with that trade. I even said good trade, 20%, not 20%, $20, 5% trade. And I did miss that next setup of the higher low right here. I've seen this with Nasdaq's, the inverse head and shoulder, second higher low, I believe is what I call it. Shoulder, head, shoulder, and then the second higher low. I totally missed it. You know, in theory, I could say, sure, I was scared that it was going to choke, because, you know, $1 could be resistance and it could bounce from there. But I should have considered it, because had I have considered a buy at 96, right? Or maybe even at 98, and then it fails to get past 1, I still get a, you know, I still can sell for break even or small profits. Even a tiny loss if I risk it off of this level right here. Shouldn't have been that scared, but this one worked out in that sense, and it broke 1, and it got as high as what is it, 11 cents. So I know it's confusing, but you know, this is 10 cents, and it got as high as 11 cents. So that was a 10% move before it had some red candles, put up another higher low, and then it got to 11.5, and then here it got to 11.7. It did get to 12, but you know, it was just putting up nice higher lows right here. This was the setup I totally missed, but next time I see something like this, ideally I get in. You know, first red day, starter steppy, you know, not a bad idea to try a buy and sell. And if it doesn't work out, you get out, and then, you know, it might be the second dip that actually works, but it might just continue dipping the entire day. You never know. So that's why I wait for inverse head and shoulders. You know, that was the setup here. Should have considered the second higher low off the inverse head and shoulders. But still got much better. I really liked that trade. Now I want to do more of these. And then the last trade was the 13th. NGCG. This was just a liquid. So let's look at NGCG for the 13th. NG for the 13th. So let's go ahead and look right about here. Just the first sketchy looking candle was doing a nice uptrend, but it kind of looked like it was starting to choke, especially because it didn't get above the previous day high, which was a wick. So again, just really choking right here, not looking that nice. We did have an uptrend on Friday, but it ended up red. Just some sketchy price action right here. Not the best volume either. So you can say whatever you want about it. You know, the volume is so sketchy that it can make those sketchy candles right there and not really give a true sign as to what it could do. But anyway, yeah, overall no volume. Did the setup work? Nope. Did I trade it well? I felt like I did. My buy was at 935.71, and I sold 2 minutes later. So I am doing better holding these a little longer, even though this one was not too ideal. I just have to keep getting better, not just, you know, be a chicken, but just hold the setup a little longer, not be so scared anymore. I could have made a lot more. My average percent gain could be much larger. Ideally, that's what I do, you know, this following week, or at least something that I just keep working on, because that's going to help greatly here with my trading. And that's what I've identified as a problem. It's just not holding long enough, and doing all of this is what really helps me see without a bias what I'm doing right or wrong. So let's look at it. 935, 71. So 935, 71, and that was the 13th. So again, just no good volume. Let's go ahead and do that. 935 right here, 71, and you know, it was a nice buy. It really was. It didn't look that bad. It was kind of clean here with the 2 red candles. The problem was that the volume just you know, at first looked kind of nice, but it just didn't continue. It just continued to look bad. It just right here looks nice. 2 clean big red candles for a morning panic bounce play, right? It took a buy at 35.71 right about here, but then it just started to look all sketchy after I bought it. We had this candle here. I tried selling there, but I wasn't able to get executed. Ultimately sold at 718 at 937. This sketchy candle right here, and I sold at 71.8, so right about right here. Not the best sell because it did uptrend a little afterwards, but I just wanted to get out because the volume was bad. And then we had this sketchy candle right here where I could have actually potentially have sold into this sketchy wick, but you know, I was already out the trade by then. I tried selling here with a limit order, was not getting executed. That's the issue with Schwab. I don't know, market orders just seem to get you out quickly until I get like a horrible execution, right? I try putting a market order and then I get executed at 62 or something. Until I get something crappy like that, I think that's just the way I'm going to have to trade with Schwab, unfortunately. I like limit orders. I do limit orders on my buys, but on my sells I do market. I would like to not have that, but as long as I trade on Schwab, that's just what I'm going to have to do, unfortunately, because that, you know, putting a limit order, the sell, and then it just doesn't do anything, even if your limit order price is way, you know, way below the bid, but it just doesn't get it, just doesn't register, or it takes much longer than it really should. So yeah, that was a setup right here. Again, I bought here and then I sold here for a tiny profit, tiny position size, because I knew it was a bit illiquid. And you know, I did overall okay. So yeah, I just pretty much finished it right here. I need to work on holding trades longer. Setups, yeah, the beginning of the 2 weeks I had some stupid setups there, but I think towards the end of these 2 weeks, I hope you can see my setups got a little better, started picking better things to trade. That's what I just need to work on. I need to, it's not even about average size that I went in and out, because I had like 2 outliers. Really, I just need to work on selling better. A lot of these morning panic bounce plays approach VWAP. They break a little above VWAP, and that's when I should start considering to sell. You know, in that sense, just have to keep getting better at holding position trades longer. Found out with Schwab that if I just go here and click on positions, I actually find out before the, you know, before it realizes here if I'm filled or not sometimes, and that's going to help greatly too. So just going to call it off overall. 2 weeks that were pretty good. I'm going to just maybe make another spreadsheet, and I'm just going to keep track per week what do I score. So I'm going to put a score for if the setups worked, a score for if I traded well, and then I'm going to put like my winning percentage for each week. So I'm going to start working on that. Overall, just pretty good. A lot of lessons learned. Just need to learn to hold better, and I can see some good potential as long as I keep working on it.